Welcome to the newest edition of PacWest Magazine. I am Wayne Cueto. With schools in Hawaii, Arizona, California, and Utah, the Pacific West Conference is truly the most beautiful destination conference in all of collegiate athletics. Now let's go to one of our 10 outstanding campuses and see just what makes the PacWest simply the best.
At the beautiful and brand new Grand Canyon University Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, it was a big night for PacWest men's basketball, with host Grand Canyon hosting defending co-champion BYU-Hawai'i in a game that had a huge impact in the 2012 conference basketball race. On hand were more than a couple of thousand fans, including some from the National Football League.
My name is Garrett Blunt, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. PacWest basketball rocks.
And a couple of important folks in the front row with GCU ties for many years. Longtime head baseball coach and athletic director Dave Brazel, along with the parents of GCU athletic director Keith Baker.
My mom and dad are here. They're residents of the Valley, but graduates of Grand Canyon. Played here. My dad was a baseball and basketball player here in the late 50s. One of my uncles, Sharky Baker, also was a member of the very first baseball team ever here in the early 50s. And then two of my uncles, who also went to school here, happened to come to the game tonight. So I got my dad and his three brothers all here, and the coach that they played for, Dr. Brazel, is a season ticket holder courtside for us. So it's kind of a nice little reunion tonight.
When the game got started, it matched two of the PacWest's strongest teams. Grand Canyon had put together a modest 4-game winning streak. The Antelopes of head coach Russ Pennell were hoping to get a big game from their inside players, including center Braylon Pickrell. For BYU-Hawai'i, they had moved into contention in the conference title race and the regional rankings after a slow start this season, and Ken Wagner's team needed to get their outside shooting game going with the likes of Jake Davestrup, Junior Ale, and Jet Chang. But Chang, last year's national tournament most outstanding player, came up empty in the first half, and Grand Canyon took full advantage of the Seasiders' ice-cold shooting. Pickrell was a force in the middle as the Antelopes built up an 8-point lead by halftime at 32-24. As the second half started, it was obvious that BYU-Hawai'i needed a boost, and Chang gave them what they needed, scoring 8 straight points to pull the visiting Seasiders even at 38 all. But then Pickrell stepped up again, making a huge block, one of his 8 on the night, and Grand Canyon turned the game back in their favor. And then Grand Canyon got hot as they went on a 15-4 run over the next several minutes to take a double-digit lead. Throughout this time, the Antelopes played very well. One of the keys to the run was point guard Kyle Speed, who lived up to his name and really took control of the floor. The Seasiders tried to come back again. Dastrup hit for a game-high 12 points, while Chang had 10. But in the end, it was too much Pickrell. He had 23 points and 8 boards to go along with his 8 block shots, and Grand Canyon pulled away for an impressive 72-59 victory.
We've been trying to take it one game at a time, but when you have someone like BYU-Hawai'i who beat us over there, and it's kind of in our way of what we want to do. We know how big it was. We were really excited to come out here and try and hand them a loss for once, you know. And we've been talking about it all week. I mean, one game at a time. This game isn't as big as the next one, but to say that we weren't looking forward to it, to playing BYU because, you know, of the prestige almost that they've had and winning a lot in conference the last couple of years. It was a pretty big win for us. We're pretty excited, pretty emotional about it.
Well, he has given us a presence in the post that we sorely needed, especially a scoring presence. And, you know, Braylon came off his mission last year and was a little rusty, and we didn't get him as many minutes as I would have liked to have. And the funny thing about it, Bob, I told him last year, game after game, sometimes I'd play him 3 or 4 minutes. I would tell him, your day is coming. I believe in you. I know that was hard for him to really fathom that, but he's coming to that realization this year, and he's been a real force and a real positive influence on our team.
That was pretty nice. Not gonna lie, it felt pretty good. I just was trying to catch him. I didn't think I was gonna get there, and then I was worried that he was gonna push Kyle in my way. So I was a little hesitant, but once I got up there, it felt pretty darn good.
In the scheme of things, you know, this one was huge because we're right in the thick of the things in the PacWest just as far as conference standing go, and you know, these guys are ahead of us, so it's a huge win for us tonight. Coach said, you know, run. He just told us to run. That was part of the game plan, try to get up and down as fast as we can, and so that's what I tried to do, you know, just push the tempo a little bit more than what I normally have been doing, and, you know, thank goodness it worked out to our advantage.
One of the premier guards in this league. We've got some great ones, but for us, he is a perfect fit, and he really makes us go. He's kind of the head of the group, and his leadership I thought was really good tonight, and he did just a phenomenal job of taking care of the ball. We've been playing well, Bob, over our last 7-8 games. I even thought we played well when we got beat by BYU over there. And that kind of started this little bit of a roll. And we're just, you know, you said it, it's a cliche, but it's really true. It's one game at a time. This one's over, we got to move on to the next one, but I'm awful proud of our team. We've stuck together, and we finally are starting to play, I think, up to our ability.
The win by Grand Canyon was the first of 3 more consecutive victories by the Antelopes that week, as they ran their impressive string to 7 straight, making them one of the hottest teams in the PacWest by season's end. The PacWest. From Hawaii and California to Utah and Arizona, it's the most beautiful destination conference in the entire NCAA. 10 outstanding schools: Academy of Art, BYU-Hawai'i, Cal Baptist, Chaminade, Dixie State, Dominican, Grand Canyon, Hawaii Pacific, Notre Dame de Namur, and the University of Hawaii at Hilo. The home of champions and outstanding student athletes, the PacWest.
I chose Division II because athletes graduate at a higher rate.
I can stay closer to home and be an important part of the community.
I chose Division II because I can double major
and take part in campus activities.
I chose Division II because classrooms are smaller.
Students have more time with their instructors.
And I can compete for a national championship.
I chose Division II for all these reasons and more.
I chose
Division II.
We'll have more PacWest Magazine after this.
Imagine collaborating with a diverse group of people from different backgrounds who all share common values. A place where giving back to the community is not only encouraged, but expected. Where your professor is not just a teacher, but a mentor. Imagine a place where individual leadership is prized. Imagine Chaminade University.
It doesn't look like your average university, because it isn't. Just 12 miles from San Francisco is an urban oasis where students go beyond the classroom, helping businesses become sustainable, fighting breast cancer, athletes who excel and serve the community. And here, you don't just study history, you help make it.
As we wind from the fall season to the winter season, that of course means basketball. Come hit the boards now with PacWest Magazine. It was a festive late afternoon in Riverside, California. Homecoming Saturday at California Baptist University. Hundreds of fans poured into CBU's gymnasium with a game against Dixie State shown on local television. This was a very big game in the conference women's basketball race, with the Red Storm from Utah in a first-place tie with the hometown Lancers in a PacWest race that also had Grand Canyon and Academy of Art contending for the title. The contest also featured a couple of the premier players in the conference, with Dixie State's Becca Thomas bringing her double-digit scoring numbers to Southern California. Up against CBU's Alexis Johnson, who was a true force in the middle for the Lancers. Dixie got off to a great start, hitting a number of shots from the outside as they hoped to get revenge on a Lancer team that had beaten them in the previous meeting. But CBU rallied late in the first half, and Dixie's lead was cut to just 1 at halftime. In the second half, the Lancers turned to their 5'4" point guard for leadership. Mariah Hicks was an inspirational leader on the team. She had injured her knee this season, but opted to play through the pain and have her surgery once the season was over. Many times during the second half, Hicks and her teammates found a way to get the ball in the hands of the 6'1" Johnson, who began to dominate the game in the post. The game seesawed back and forth in the second half, with neither team gaining control. Finally, the game was tied at 67 all, with just over a minute to play when Mariah Hicks really made her presence known. The diminutive point guard from Springfield, Missouri, hit 4 consecutive free throws down the stretch, and CBU held off a last-ditch effort by Dixie as the Lancers won a thriller by a final score of 71-67.
It was nuts. The last game we played them on Tuesday was nuts. You know, it's a big game for our school, big game, you know, for our team and everything, and we pulled it out. It was a huge game. The crowd was crazy. You know, our team was crazy, our bench was crazy, and all that energy really helped us pull it together at the end. It's a women's game. You know, a lot of people don't usually come out, but it's homecoming, and we don't have football here, and our students really do a good job of supporting our school. You know. And I really thank them for coming out, but you know, we had energy from the crowd, our bench, our coaches, everyone really. After that start, the lackadaisical start in the first half, you know, we really kind of pulled it together and played really well.
Welcome back to PacWest Magazine. Now, the PacWest added another school this year, California Baptist University in Riverside, California. We go to Southern California now and meet the Lancers. The California Baptist University Lancers have made a huge impact in their first year in the PacWest, earning titles in 4 sports this past fall, and playing into title contention in 2 more sports this winter. This spring, they've been just as impressive on the diamond. The Lancers softball team has a very proud history, and they showed their strength throughout the early season in their transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II. In a recent tournament game in Riverside, CBU pounded out 13 hits in a 13-0 pounding of visiting Colorado Christian. The Lancers' scoring output is indicative of their ability to put together huge scoring rallies. In this game, they had a 6-run inning and a 7-run inning. Meanwhile, in the pitcher's circle, Tori Ferreira strutted her stuff in a big way as she tossed a shutout and picked up her 5th straight victory to start the season. For sure, California Baptist will be one of the top contenders in a very exciting PacWest softball race this season. Meanwhile, just down the way at Totman Baseball Stadium, the Lancers were locked in a thrilling doubleheader with PacWest rival Academy of Art. CBU had taken the first game by a score of 6-5, but they trailed in the second game by a score of 2-1 through the first 5 innings. Art U's Wade Broadstreet had done an outstanding job on the pitcher's mound for the visiting Urban Knights as he struck out 6 of the first 9 hitters he faced. Art U was hoping to pull off a big upset. Meanwhile, Jesse Ariola was pitching equally well for Cal Baptist. He had 11 strikeouts in the game and tried to keep his team close until the final at-bats. The Lancers would put together a mini rally in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they came back to tie the game at 2-2. But their wish to win their second straight game of the day in the bottom of the 7th would not come true, as Ryan Caters was gunned down at the plate trying to score on a sacrifice fly on a nice play by the Urban Knights. Remember Caters' name because he would be an important factor later on. With the score now tied at 2-2, the game went into extra innings, and in the top of the first extra frame, Art U got runners into scoring position. But CBU pitcher Jesse Ariola pitched himself out of the jam to keep the score tied. Then in the bottom of the inning, the Lancers rallied to get a runner on third with 2 outs. And that's when Caters came to the plate again and laced a 2-out game-winning single as California Baptist had pulled off its second straight walk-off victory with a thrilling 3-2 extra inning win over Academy of Art. It was his first hit of the season and the first game winner of his baseball career.
I was thinking if this guy throws me a fastball on the outside part of the plate, I'm gonna get after it, and thankfully it fell for me, and so I was just really excited to get after that pitch. Honestly, I was just really excited. I was probably smiling from ear to ear, but this is the kind of stuff you dream about. That's the kind of opportunity you want, and I was just really excited and felt blessed to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it was kind of hard starting at first. After I've been, itching to get out a win, and I came to this game 0-1, and then, I was coming to the game. I was, they scored those 2 runs you see on the board, and I just knew that if I kept, getting ahead of hitters, putting up zeros, and just giving my team momentum, that I would eventually, they would be prepared enough to come out on top.
It wouldn't have been possible without the effort that we got on the mound. We got down early, but yet Jesse was able to keep us in the ball game, and their starting pitcher was doing a great job at keeping us off balance, and fortunately for us, we were able to get the leadoff guy on and manufacture something there in the later innings to come back and win one.
What can I say about Wade Broadstreet? He came in as a walk-on, as a shortstop, and after our first series, he said, "Coach, I can pitch." I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay, let's get a couple bullpens in." He came in, got a start, did a fantastic job. And the more I watch him, the more I see the big-time competitiveness in him. Our program has grown immensely. The kids are getting more competitive, getting more serious, and I'm looking for good things ahead of us.
So a big win for California Baptist and a tough loss for Art U as the 2 teams showed why PacWest baseball will be exciting every pitch this season.
Now, that tells us what this school is being built for which it's being built. And from this school, I'll tell you,
from this school
will go men and women.
Will go men and women
whose influence will be felt.
Whose influence will be felt.
For good.
For good towards the establishment.
Towards the establishment.
Of Peace International.
Of peace.
Of peace. Of pace.
Of Peace International.
When you look at your future, what do you see? Accomplishment? Skills put to good use? Opportunities? Be your own success story with a graduate degree from Hawaii Pacific University. Hawaii Pacific University. Get where you want to go.
Don't go anywhere. You're watching PacWest Magazine.
Over the years, we've had a lot of great features on the PacWest Magazine. Let's go inside the PacWest Magazine vault.
Hilo! Hilo! Come on! Hilo! What? Hilo! 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 1, 2, 3, Hilo!
Cross country has been a staple at the University of Hawaii at Hilo for nearly 3 decades. In that time period, Vulcan teams have racked up several PacWest titles as well as individual honors. Most recently, when Jaime Guerpo was named PacWest Coach of the Year after leading his women's team to the conference title in 2006. But in April 2011, after a successful recruiting season where Guerpo had received commitments from athletes from all over the country to run for the Vulcans in the upcoming fall season, the 12-year head coach was hit with some bad news. Hilo would be suspending both his men's and women's cross-country teams for 2 years.
You gotta make a move. You wanna get closer, you gotta go. Come on, James.
With the tough economic times and rising operational costs, UH-Hilo AD Dexter Irvin had to make the tough decision to drop both teams, with his athletics program facing a probable 7% reduction in spending. Times are especially difficult for the school as the Vulcans have not even one opponent within driving distance and must fly to all away contests. Irvin's announcement last spring came as a surprise to Guerpo, but instead of accepting the unfortunate circumstances, the coach immediately set out to rescue both teams by any means possible. Needing to raise tens of thousands of dollars to rescue just one of his 2 teams, Guerpo reached out to Hilo boosters, the community, and the entire state of Hawaii, and received several heartfelt pledges. But it wasn't until he received a call offering $25,000 from a Honolulu-based charity that Guerpo truly believed his program could be rescued.
At first, I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. And after a week of soul searching and writing letters and asking, she came back and called me and asked me, what was the situation, and I specifically told her that, the program's got cut, and this is the situation, and this is what I'm looking for, and she called me the next day and asked me, how does 25,000 feel? And I'm like, wow, what can I do,
His letter was so compelling, and because we are a fitness, running-oriented event, I spoke with Carol Jackson, our race director, about it, and we felt that it was something that we should do, and I'm so glad we did, because Jaime has turned out to be a wonderful spokesperson for the running program in Hawaii, and besides, it was a neighbor island function that we were supporting, and we wanted to consider ourselves as supporting the entire state.
We are not only an 8.15 mile run from Aloha Tower to Aloha Stadium, but we're also one of the biggest charity runs in the state. So everyone that runs with the Great Aloha Run, the money is going to the nonprofit Carol Kai Charities. And once we are done paying for everything for the run, it all goes back into our local community.
But even with the large sum of money so generously donated by willing individuals, Guerpo could only salvage the women's team.
I feel a little hurt from it, because I've been coaching for a long time, and usually it is a kind of hit and miss without the boys, but they're still supporting us, still running with us in the mornings, and, but they're very supportive of this, and hopefully, someday we can get them back.
With their male counterparts without a team this year, the women feel even luckier to have their season.
It was a bummer, not gonna lie, but after my coach got the funds for it, I was pretty optimistic about the season and had to run my life off. So I guess I'm pretty happy. It definitely motivates me to run a lot faster, pushes me in practice at the meets. It's an honor to be on the team.
Cuerpo fields another diverse squad in 2011, and like all those that wear the Vulcan uniform, they are a group of student athletes that truly enjoy what their school and community have to offer.
I'm from Nebraska, so it's a big change from middle of the U.S. to middle of the ocean. I absolutely love it. Cross country in high school was fun, but here we're such a close-knit group. We're like family. Collegiate sports is much better than high school sports, and just everything. The weather's great, the people are great. It's a completely different situation and environment.
I love UH-Hilo. I'm planning on staying here the rest of my life, so let's see what it has to offer.
Jaime Cuerpo and Hilo Cross Country, proud to be a part of the PacWest. Thanks for joining us on PacWest Magazine, a closer look at the people and places of the Pacific West Conference. For the latest PacWest news, join us on the web at thepacwest.com. There you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch even more PacWest Magazine on our YouTube channel. For Bob Hogue and Malia Smith, I'm Wayne Cueto. See you next time on PacWest Magazine.